accents?
Well, the accent was kind of up to me. The accents, I should say. Because when people try to imitate that character, the mistake most people make is being consistent. I was like, no, don't. Eugene would have to remind me. I would lose it, and he'd say, what's your favorite movie? And I'd go, The Aviator.
On January 30th, 2026, Catherine O'Hara passed away at the age of 71 after a sudden illness. The news spread quickly, leaving a deep silence in the hearts of audiences and those who had worked alongside her. A familiar voice fell quiet. A face that once brought endless laughter now lives on in memory. For more than 5 decades, O'Hara was not simply a comedic actress. She was a performer who could make people laugh while quietly moving them. We remember her as the frantic mother crying, "Kevin!" in Home Alone. The eccentric yet vulnerable diva Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek. The delightfully strange Delia Deetz. And the tender, melancholic voice of Sally. Every character she portrayed carried something deeply human. Today, as we look back, those performances did more than define Catherine O'Hara's career. They helped shape a legend. Let us revisit the roles that ensured she will continue to live on in the hearts of generations to come. Early career on SCTV, 1976 to 1984, the foundation of sketch comedy. In 1976, Catherine O'Hara officially joined Second City Television, SCTV, a Canadian sketch comedy show produced in Toronto before expanding across North America. She was 22 years old. The cast included emerging performers such as John Candy and Eugene Levy, both of whom would remain longtime collaborators. SCTV focused on parodying television formats, commercials, and celebrity culture. O'Hara stood out quickly because of her vocal control and precise facial expressions. One of her most memorable creations was Lola Heatherton, an aging nightclub singer desperate for attention. Lola appeared in glittering costumes, heavy stage makeup, and exaggerated hairstyles. The character mocked the fragility of fame and the pressure to remain visible. O'Hara often imitated the mannerisms of stars such as Elizabeth Taylor, generating humor through timing rather than elaborate dialogue. The sketch Long Distance Call demonstrated her technical skill. The scene began with a routine phone call. Within minutes, the situation escalated into chaos as Lola overreacted to minor details. O'Hara shifted from a soft whisper to a sharp scream in seconds, increasing the comedic tempo while maintaining control of the scene. In a parody game show sketch, she played a contestant who unraveled on camera. Her off-topic answers and heightened emotional reactions created a form of eccentric comedy that later became central to the mockumentary films of Christopher Guest. These performances shaped O'Hara's improvisational style. She frequently adjusted lines during filming, but preserved narrative clarity. This flexibility later allowed her to thrive in unscripted environments. Looking back, SCTV functioned as a practical training ground. Between 1976 and 1984, O'Hara developed her adaptable voice, disciplined expressions, and ability to build characters through small physical choices, skills that supported a career spanning more than 4 decades. Delia Deetz in Beetlejuice, 1988, and Beetlejuice, 2024. Dark comedy and artistic eccentricity. In 1988, Catherine O'Hara began her first major collaboration with director Tim Burton in Beetlejuice. She played Delia Deetz, a conceptual artist who moves into a haunted house with her husband and stepdaughter. From her first appearance, Delia is defined by sharp confidence and theatrical self-presentation. She treats daily life as performance and views her home as a gallery space rather than a place to live. Delia represents a clear tension between avant-garde ambition and a reality she cannot control. She speaks with authority, yet reacts with visible fear when confronted by the supernatural. Her wardrobe, structured black dresses, oversized accessories, sculptural silhouettes, functions as an extension of her artistic identity. Beneath the arrogance, O'Hara reveals a woman seeking validation. Small pauses, tightened lips, and defensive posture signal vulnerability without interrupting the comedic rhythm. One of the film's most recognizable sequences is the possessed dinner party set to Day-O, the Banana Boat song. Guests begin singing involuntarily. Delia's body stiffens, then jerks into choreographed movement she cannot stop. O'Hara widens her eyes, forces a smile, and snaps her head in time with the music. The humor comes from the loss of control. The scene lasts only a few minutes, but became one of the most replayed moments in late 1980s comedy. When O'Hara returned as Delia in Beetlejuice, 2024, the character carried visible age and experience. The sequel connects past and present by placing Delia once again inside a world she struggles to understand. In a pivotal sequence, Delia dies and enters the afterlife herself. O'Hara avoids exaggeration. Instead, she slows her speech and grounds the reactions, suggesting acceptance rather than panic. The performance reflects both character growth and an actor with decades of refined technique. The cultural impact of Delia Deetz has been steady. The dinner scene continues to circulate online, often referenced in television, Halloween events, and comedy retrospectives. The character demonstrated that eccentric women could lead comedic energy without becoming caricatures. Many performers have cited Burton's ensemble films as proof that stylized humor can coexist with emotional clarity. Comparing the two films, separated by 36 years, highlights O'Hara's durability. In 1988, she relied on sharp physical comedy. By 2024, she used restraint and timing. The result is a character who feels continuous rather than nostalgic. Delia Deetz did more than introduce O'Hara to Burton's cinematic world. It confirmed her ability to balance absurdity with emotional precision, a skill that would define the next decades of her career. Kate McCallister in Home Alone, the defining Christmas mother. In 1990, Catherine O'Hara entered mainstream Hollywood with her role as Kate McCallister in Home Alone. The film was produced on a budget of about $18 million and grossed over $470 million worldwide. Its success turned the cast into household names, and O'Hara became widely recognized as the face of a modern American movie mother. Kate is introduced as organized but distracted, managing a large family preparing for an international trip. The defining mistake, leaving her youngest son behind, sets the story in motion. O'Hara plays the realization with controlled escalation. Her posture freezes, her eyes widen. Then comes the sharp, unforgettable scream, "Kevin!" The moment lasts seconds, but communicates shock, guilt, and urgency without excess dialogue. The humor in Kate differs from O'Hara's earlier eccentric roles. Instead of exaggeration, she relies on emotional clarity. Much of the performance shows a mother moving across airports, arguing with airline staff, and searching for any available flight home. The comedy emerges from persistence rather than absurdity. The reunion scene at the end of the first film is notably restrained. Kate runs through the snow, slows as she approaches Kevin, and speaks softly before embracing him. No elaborate speech follows. The physical gesture completes the arc. In Home Alone 2, 1992, O'Hara repeats this emotional structure, reinforcing Kate as dependable and deeply attached to her children. Both films quickly became December television staples. Families returned to them annually, and O'Hara's performance grew associated with holiday viewing traditions. Fans often asked her to recreate the Kevin scream in interviews, confirming how firmly the moment had entered popular culture. Looking back, Kate McCallister reflected an idealized but recognizable portrait of American family life. Busy, imperfect, yet anchored by parental commitment. O'Hara added dimension by grounding the humor in believable concern. The role expanded her audience dramatically, and positioned her not just as a comedic specialist, but as an actor capable of warmth without sentimentality. For many who grew up in the 1990s, Catherine O'Hara was the mother who always found her way back home. Sally in The Nightmare. Before Christmas, 1993, a melancholic voice in animation. In 1993, Catherine O'Hara reunited with the creative world associated with Tim Burton by voicing Sally in The Nightmare Before Christmas. Sally is a ragdoll created by Dr. Finkelstein and confined to his laboratory. From her first lines, O'Hara delivers the character with measured softness. Avoiding exaggeration and emphasizing emotional restraint, Sally quietly loves Jack Skellington but rarely states her feelings directly. Instead, she acts through observation and caution. She foresees danger in Jack's plan to take over Christmas and attempts to intervene. The character represents isolation paired with determination, a figure seeking autonomy despite physical limitations. O'Hara supports this duality with a low, steady vocal tone that carries concern without panic. The clearest example appears in Sally's song, Deetz. The lyrics describe uncertainty and anticipated loss. O'Hara sings at a controlled tempo, allowing brief pauses between phrases. The delivery communicates vulnerability while maintaining clarity, rather than projecting theatrical sadness. She keeps the performance intimate, which strengthens the emotional impact. Another defining moment occurs when Sally escapes by deliberately falling apart, later stitching herself back together. The action is practical, almost routine, and O'Hara avoids dramatization in her vocal reactions. This restraint reinforces Sally's resilience. Over time, the film developed into a cult classic, screened regularly during both Halloween and Christmas seasons for O'Hara. The role demonstrated range beyond live-action comedy and confirmed her effectiveness in voice performance. Placed alongside her work in Beetlejuice, Sally reveals a different register, quieter, reflective, and emotionally grounded. The contrast underscored O'Hara's versatility, proving she could move from broad comedy to gentle tragedy without losing precision. The Christopher Guest films, 1996 to 2006, improvisation and mockumentary precision. Between 1996 and 2006, Catherine O'Hara formed one of the most consistent creative partnerships of her career with director Christopher Guest. These films used a mockumentary format, presenting fictional events through documentary-style interviews and handheld camera work. Much of the dialogue was improvised. Actors received character outlines rather than fixed scripts, demanding fast thinking and emotional control. In Waiting for Guffman, 1996, O'Hara played Sheila Albertson, a travel agent and amateur performer preparing for a small-town stage musical. Sheila approaches rehearsals with absolute seriousness despite limited skill. O'Hara builds humor through commitment rather than parody. Every line is delivered as if the production will determine Sheila's future. Her role as Cookie Fleck in Best in Show, 2000, expanded that method. Cookie is cheerful, wealthy, and openly nostalgic about past relationships. In one interview scene, she calmly mentions having had hundreds of lovers, while her husband listens in silence. O'Hara keeps her tone conversational, allowing the absurdity to emerge naturally. The exchange became one of the film's most quoted moments, because it feels unscripted yet controlled. In A Mighty Wind, 2003, she portrayed Mickey Crabbe, a former folk singer reunited with her ex-partner, played by Eugene Levy. Their performance of A Kiss at the End of the Rainbow is staged without visible irony. O'Hara sings with steady phrasing, and the camera holds on their faces as the characters share a brief, unexpected kiss. The scene later appeared at the Academy Awards ceremony, reinforcing its cultural reach. By For Your Consideration, 2006, O'Hara shifted toward quieter satire as Marilyn Hack, an actress suddenly rumored to be an Oscar contender. Marilyn adjusts her posture, moderates her speech, and imagines a new social status before any nomination is confirmed. O'Hara communicates ambition through small behavioral changes rather than overt jokes. Across these films, critics increasingly described her as a master improviser. She maintained narrative direction while adapting dialogue in real time, a technical skill few performers sustain across multiple projects. The partnership also strengthened her on-screen dynamic with Eugene Levy. Their timing relied on listening rather than interruption, creating exchanges that felt spontaneous but structurally precise. Looking back, the guest films offered more than comedy. They satirized community theater, competitive culture, celebrity obsession, and awards campaigns within that framework. O'Hara demonstrated that disciplined improvisation could produce characters both humorous and recognizable, further solidifying her reputation as one of the most technically reliable performers in ensemble comedy. Moira Rose in Schitt's Creek, 2015 to 2020, a modern television icon. When Schitt's Creek premiered in 2015, Catherine O'Hara entered a new phase of her career. She worked closely with Eugene Levy and his son, Dan Levy, who co-created the series. O'Hara played Moira Rose, a former soap opera star whose wealthy family suddenly loses everything and relocates to a small rural town they once purchased as a joke. Moira is introduced as controlled, theatrical, and deeply attached to status. Her wardrobe is deliberate, monochrome outfits, structured capes, statement jewelry, and an extensive collection of wigs stored with catalog-like care. The wigs function as emotional markers. Moira changes them depending on her mood, treating each as part of a curated identity. Her voice became one of the character's defining tools. O'Hara constructed a hybrid accent with shifting vowels and unexpected emphasis. The delivery suggests a performer who never fully leaves the stage, even in ordinary conversation. At the start of the series, Moira appears self-focused. She worries about reputation more than stability. Over 6 seasons, the character adjusts. She participates in local events, supports her children's decisions, and gradually prioritizes family over image. O'Hara signals this progression through reduced vocal intensity and softer reactions rather than dramatic speeches. One of the most discussed scenes is the cooking sequence built around the instruction, "Fold in the cheese." Moira repeats the phrase without clarifying it, growing visibly impatient while her son asks for guidance. O'Hara controls the rhythm by tightening her posture and sharpening each repetition. The humor emerges from precision, not exaggeration. The series finale provides contrast. Moira prepares to leave town after rebuilding her career. Her farewell scenes are measured. Eye contact replaces theatrical gestures. The restraint communicates attachment without abandoning the character's composure. In 2020, O'Hara won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Comedy Series. The show itself swept major comedy categories, expanding its global audience through streaming platforms. Moira quickly became a source for internet quotes, GIFs, and costume tributes, and many viewers identified the character as an important figure within queer fan communities. Looking back, Moira Rose reflects decades of technical growth. The role blends the eccentricity seen in Delia Deetz, the emotional grounding present in McCallister, and the improvisational discipline refined in the Christopher Guest films. Rather than revisiting earlier styles, O'Hara integrated them into a performance that felt contemporary for many younger viewers. Moira was their introduction to Catherine O'Hara for longtime audiences. She confirmed that O'Hara could still redefine herself, even after 40 years in the industry. Later, Roles and Continuing Legacy, 2024 to 2025, Endurance and Artistic Presence, by the mid-2000s. Catherine O'Hara remained professionally active, demonstrating a level of longevity uncommon in comedy. Her return in Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice 2024 marked one of the most anticipated revivals of her career. Reprising Delia Deetz after more than 3 decades required continuity without repetition. O'Hara approached the role with slower delivery and controlled physicality, allowing age and experience to inform the character rather than amplifying eccentricity. She refined it. The performance suggested an artist who had learned when restraint could be more effective than spectacle. Industry attention quickly turned to her involvement in high-profile television projects expected in 2025, including The Last of Us and The Studio. While details surrounding these roles generated speculation, the casting alone reflected continued trust from major producers. O'Hara had moved beyond being recognized solely as a comedic performer. She was increasingly viewed as a stabilizing presence capable of strengthening ensemble casts. These later projects illustrated professional durability. Few actors successfully remain relevant across multiple media eras, from broadcast television to streaming platforms. Yet O'Hara adapted without altering her core technique. She listened carefully within scenes, prioritized timing, and avoided overstatement. Looking back on this period, what stands out is persistence. Decades after her debut, she continued accepting challenging roles rather than relying on past success. Younger performers frequently cited her discipline and adaptability as influence. Her later work reinforced a clear conclusion. Catherine O'Hara's legacy was not built on a single era, but on sustained commitment. Each appearance affirmed that her creative voice remained active, shaping comedy and character performance for future generations. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of Catherine O'Hara. Catherine O'Hara's career followed a clear trajectory defined by discipline and range. She began on SCTV in the late 1970s, where she developed technical control over voice, timing, and character construction. Those early years established her reputation as a reliable improviser. By the late 1980s, Beetlejuice demonstrated her ability to balance stylized comedy with emotional precision. In the early 1990s, Home Alone introduced her to a global audience and confirmed she could anchor humor in believable human concern. Her voice work in The Nightmare Before Christmas expanded her register further, proving effectiveness without physical presence. The Christopher Guest films then showcased sustained improvisational discipline across ensemble casts. Decades later, Schitt's Creek unified these skills in Moira Rose, a performance that connected multiple generations of viewers. O'Hara's cultural reach extended beyond the screen. Lines from her performances circulated widely online. Costumes inspired fan recreations at conventions and public events. Younger actors frequently referenced her adaptability as a professional model. Within comedy, she helped normalize complex female characters who could be eccentric without losing credibility. Her work supported a broader shift toward women leading comedic narratives rather than supporting them. Remembering Catherine O'Hara ultimately means recognizing consistency. She approached each role with preparation rather than reliance on reputation. The laughter her characters created was structured, intentional, and durable. Gratitude becomes the natural response when reviewing such a body of work. For more than 50 years, she provided audiences with moments of release, recognition, and emotional clarity. Her performances remain accessible, allowing future viewers to encounter them without historical distance. Legacies of this scale do not conclude. They continue through influence and rediscovery. Each rewatch introduces her timing to someone new. Each aspiring performer studying comedic rhythm encounters her example. Catherine O'Hara's work ensures that her artistic presence endures, not as nostalgia, but as an active standard within modern screen comedy.